We are in the midst of the counting of the Emor. That is the 7-week, 49-day period between Pesach and Shavuos, where we are charged with the task, the responsibility, the privilege of working on our character traits. I'd like to suggest a key word, perhaps the key word, the most important concept to focus on in contemplating and working on our character, based on a verse from last week's portion that has 3 parts to it, 3 mitzvos. Don't take revenge. Don't bear a grudge. Love your neighbor as yourself. What is the connection between these 3 commandments? Don't take revenge. The example in the Talmud that is given is where you wanted to borrow something from your neighbor and your neighbor didn't do it, didn't lend it to you. And then subsequently your neighbor needs something and you would ordinarily lend it to him, but you refuse because you didn't lend to me, I'm not going to lend to you. That's revenge. Bearing a grudge is slightly different. Bearing a grudge is you ask your neighbor to borrow something, he refuses, then your neighbor comes to you and asks you for the same thing or a similar thing, and you say to him, I'm not like you. I'm going to lend it to you. You didn't lend it to me, but I'm not your type. I'm going to lend it to you. That's the category of bearing a grudge. Followed by these 2 commandments is the commandment, love your neighbor as yourself. What is the connection? Rabbi David Feinstein explains beautifully that if you really loved your neighbor, then it wouldn't bother you so much if he did something wrong. You still would try to help the person. Love directs us. Love empowers us to do for one another. An example, a classic example, is when a loved one is sick and the family members are take care of the loved one, and the loved one really feels, I don't want to burden everybody. I'm feeling so uncomfortable. But the family members don't feel it's a burden. Because of their love, they're ready to give and give and give. So if a person truly loved his neighbor, then he wouldn't be so upset when the neighbor does something wrong to him. So, love is really the key word. Let's say in our interactions, even people who are very close to us, when they do something that seems to bother us, we need to ask ourselves the question, how much do I love the person? Do I really love? And if we remember and think about how much we love, then it's much easier to bear the things that we think were done wrong to us. The more we love, the more we'll give. And love is really the key word and key concept in all of our human relationships. And it's a question that we need to ask ourselves constantly, especially when something someone else does bothers us. Do I really, really, truly love that person? And if I don't, I need to work on truly loving that person. Have a fabulous Shabbos.